Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone podcast with KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and Najee Moye.
Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone. I'm Niko Tamurian, joined by my partner in crime, Najee Moye. Najee, how's your summer going?
Niko, it's been a beautiful summer in Seattle, and I know it just technically started really a couple of weeks ago, but I mean, when the end of spring was like summer, you know, we're finally getting a little bit of the June gray.
I'm okay with it.
The June gloom, as they say. But, you know, it's been a great summer. I have been jealous of you. You've been at the ballpark a lot.
Yeah.
You've been at VMAC a lot. You've been out and about around the city, and I'm like, wow, Niko's weather's great out there.
Yeah, this particular week we're recording this. Monday was at the FIFA Club World Cup at Lumen Field.
Right.
PSG beat the Sounders. Tuesday was the Storm with Caitlin Clark coming to town.
Right.
Wednesday was a feature at T-Mobile Park, how they switch it between baseball and concerts, and give myself a day off, and I'll get back to the M's next week. It's not a bad week to be a sportscaster.
And it's not a bad weekend. You've had great weather to do it. Actually, not exactly great.
I'm okay with it, though.
You're okay with it. You know, now is a nice little change of pace because next month, or getting into a couple months from now, we're getting into this swing of things for football season.
Yeah.
We're getting into the swing of football season.
Yeah, that's just it. It's funny. You know, we're recording this here in the tail end of June. Maybe by the time somebody listens, it's July. The Seahawks are on summer vacation. They wrapped up mini camp. They actually moved it up a little bit. And I thought that was a cool move by Mike McDonald. He literally put mini camp right after OTAs so that the players get a longer summer vacation. In fact, Inter Milan, the famous Italian soccer club, has spent more time practicing at the VMAC this week than the Seahawks.
Oh, really?
Because they got to use the VMAC. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was a cool thing.
Yeah.
I think PSG was training in California, or maybe they were training at the Sounders facility. No, they weren't. They were down in California. But yeah, Seahawks facility was used for Inter Milan, and the Sounders facility was used for them, of course, in one other club, I think an Argentinian club. But yeah, that's showing you that it's summer vacation. And so that leads me to the point of this show. Okay, we don't have a draft to break down. We'll know much more about this year's team as we talked about during minicamp and OTAs. We'll know more about them in that regard when training camp starts, which is less than a month away. We're getting there.
Right, we're getting there, y'all. It's okay.
So this is the time to ask those hypothetical questions. And we left minicamp and OTAs with as much as you can know about a team when they wear shorts and shells. You know, like you've seen the reports like, oh, Sam Darnold was underwhelming and things of that sort. Like, to me, did he look that way? Yeah, but you have to put it in context from the standpoint that they're wearing shorts, that they're doing like little skeleton drills. They're not tackling each other. They're not really going. And to the fact that the equivalent I would give you, Najee, is like, you know, you're playing pickup with your buddies, not even playing a game, like you're warming up.
Right.
Let me put that in perspective. You're not even just playing a meaningless pickup game. You're warming up.
You're shooting around.
And you're shooting around, and you go for the layup. And not that I could ever do this to you, but I go up and swat the ball. And everybody says, man, Najee's got not aggressive at all going to the hole, but you were just playing around.
Let me tell you, it's funny you mentioned that because I literally played basketball for the first time in like 5 years.
Okay.
On an outdoor court in general, but it was on an outdoor court last night. And let me tell you, I definitely felt like Sam Darnold a little bit. I definitely had a couple moments where I was like, you know, things were more smoother last year, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I could have, the jump shot was, yeah, we missed the rim. Okay. Yeah, I threw a pass to the defense, and it happens, you know, but, you know, you're getting the swing of things. It's been a while. We're figuring things out. So it's funny that you mentioned that because first time on the basketball court.
Did not know you played last night. Totally.
It's so random because I was literally
analogy.
at Miller Park last night taking the first jump shot. There was someone else on the court, and I shot a basket and it whiff.
Oh,
didn't even.
And I've seen it happen the first one.
And he got the rebound. I mean, I was like, you know, first one's always the hardest.
Yeah. You'll be to that point, it doesn't define you as a basketball player. And I think, listen, if Darnold is benched by like October, which I don't think is going to happen.
I don't think that would be.
But he's the unquestioned starter of the team. He'll be fine. And so the point is, there's not much you can take from what we saw. So when we look ahead here, it's like, okay, you know, what can we really talk as far as what can really determine in the summer here with the Seahawks? And I think the title of this show, this episode, the Seahawks will make the playoffs if. Because I think in that regard, you can take a look at something that like stands out to you as if it goes the right way. By that meaning, if it goes the Seahawks' favor,
right,
then their odds of getting back to the postseason, ending this back-to-back season drought, if you want to call it that, exponentially increase.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. And it could be it could be anything. We talk about the schedule. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, really,
I think the schedule is very
the
favorable.
schedule is definitely very favorable. But we're also looking at the other teams in the division. There's been a lot of changes. The whole offense looks completely different.
Yeah.
Honestly, a new offensive coordinator, and let's just jump right into it, Niko. The Seahawks will make the playoffs if, and I'll go ahead and start. If the Niners are really just not relevant at all in the NFC West.
Like they were last year.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple of ifs, and I think the Seahawks are a good team. And I want to go on record by saying they'll make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think we agree on that. Yeah.
It'll be very easy if the Seahawks make the playoffs if the Niners just are just hot trash this year.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
Another big if is like if Sam Darnold exceeds expectations.
Sure.
But I think that's a two-parter. If the Seahawks did enough for the offensive line, getting guys like Abe Lucas back, then even drafting Greg Zabel, I mean, if he can make a big impact as a guard, as a rookie guard, I don't know. Keeping Sam Darnold upright is something they didn't do with Geno Smith last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that Geno, I think we talked about it in the show, was underrated.
Yeah.
For what he did last year under that much duress. And at the same time, the scheme by Ryan Grubb, while it worked at UW, it was certainly different in the NFL.
Sure.
To the point where like you can't have with that line in that pass protectabilities is a collective. Like obviously there's like Charles Cross is as good as they come and that sort of thing.
Right.
But you can't be throwing the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, because you throw the ball 50 times a game. That also raises the chances of you throwing the ball to the defense.
Yeah. Which again, if you look at Geno's red zone picks, I mean, granted, I probably shouldn't have tried to force him. Like, there wasn't like it was all on this, but there's a lot of plays where he's just trying to make something happen because he's got to make something happen.
Exactly.
And it wasn't in hindsight, you're like, don't do that. But like, it wasn't necessarily because it was just a bad throw or something like that.
What we'll see this year with the new offensive coordinator is that we'll see more ground and pound, maybe more taking the ball out of Sam Darnold's hand, but also we're seeing a completely different receiving core.
Yeah.
I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba is by far receiver one.
Yeah.
I mean, we like Cooper Kupp. I mean, Cooper Kupp is not, this may not be Cooper Kupp from 2019.
Right.
And then we don't have DK Metcalf, and it's kind of odd to say you won't see Tyler Lockett out there.
No, that's going to be weird for sure.
That'll be odd for sure. But I think the way this team is set up, that, with some more ground and pound, some better, not better, but building out of the running back core, and then adding a tight end like Arroyo from the draft. I mean, this team will be ready to run and hope to run, and if they can do that, they'll make the playoffs if they're maybe top 5 in the league in rushing, like they probably want to be.
Yeah,
right.
So you're saying if the Niners aren't good, because we expect, shout out to producer Taylor, his Rams are probably the class of the division.
I'm thinking the Rams are probably going to win anywhere from 12 to 14 games this year. I think they'll be very good. We saw some big falls from the Niners this past year. I don't know if they can bounce back. I'm not sure if they've done anything to even garner a bounce back. But I mean, you can't count Kyle Shanahan out by any means.
And they've
yeah. So, but if they're very, very, very far from relevancy, I think the Seahawks can easily slide into that number 2 position in the NFC West, like they did last year, but they fell short. I am optimistic overall.
Yeah.
And
I think my backing up to your point would be, I think the schedule is incredibly favorable. Pump that over on 7.5 wins in Vegas.
Yeah. How about that?
Like, dude, there's still time. It's still 7.5 last time I checked.
Maybe I'm optimistic. 7.5 is a very low number for this.
It doesn't even have to be Vegas. It can be Snoqualmie Casino down the road. You can place the same bet.
It's true. 7.5. Yeah. It's basically you're giving away money. I don't want to say that.
No.
The line will change next month.
But that's my bet.
If I keep saying that, the line will change next month.
There you go. I'm going to get a little more specific.
Okay.
I believe the Seahawks will make the playoffs if Abe Lucas is healthy for the whole season.
So this is one guy in the offensive line.
Yeah.
You don't hear that a lot.
No, I think that the offensive line, from anybody who observed it at OTAs and all that, like I was there all the time, and I know you'll be up with me at training camp, but I think that it actually looked pretty good. And with the same caveat that we just talked about when you said Sam Darnold didn't look good. Well, it's training camp, or it's OTAs, it's minicamp.
Right.
So you have to take it all with a grain of salt.
Right.
But to me, I look at this offensive line, and first of all, it's a different way to do it. They want to run the ball a lot more. And Abe Lucas said it. He's like, that's like every lineman's dream. You're not protecting for like up to, 10 seconds is extreme, but like you're not protecting and like wondering what the heck's going on behind you, right?
Well,
you're protecting and you're not protecting. You're trying to clear a gap.
You're pushing.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, first of all, they love that. Secondly, you look at this line Okay, let's say that Abe Lucas is healthy. My key to them to make the playoffs. That means your right tackle spot and your entire left side is good to go.
Mhm.
You went from having, let's be blunt about it, probably 4 holes. I don't want to say holes, but only one position was really good in the offensive line last year, and that was Charles Cross.
Severe deficiencies.
Yeah,
across
there
the
was. I
line.
mean, they were trotting new guys out there all the time. And listen, this is not to say like it's center Olu or Jalen Sundell. I know Christian Haynes is taking snaps there. That's not to say those guys won't rise to the occasion at that position. Of course not. But what I'm saying is you've got Charles Cross and Grace Abel, 2 first-round picks on the left side. By all accounts, by what we saw, by what the coach is saying, they're obviously going to start, and they're going to be really good on that left side.
Mhm.
If Abe is healthy the entire season, he's such a good player. But we know he missed about a full year from 23 into 24 with that knee issue. He says he's healthy. He said it was night and day this offseason compared to last because he wasn't trying to rehab something. Like he's there. He's a really good player. And if he's healthy, that right tackle spot is okay. And then you're just talking about as far as hoping somebody rises to the occasion at center and at right guard. And those battles continue, and it's one of those things where, okay, 2 positions hoping somebody rises to the occasion is a heck of a lot better than 3.
It's true. So there's a common theme in what will happen if Seahawks made the playoffs. If between the two of us is the offensive line.
Yeah,
but it has been the offensive line,
right? And I think that they
for the past couple years,
right? Kudos to John Schneider. He drafted it.
Yeah, I didn't,
right?
and I didn't.
And that's
expect
not even talking about the late round guys, Cable, Richmond, and all those guys that could maybe like make something happen later.
Right.
It's not even accounting for Christian Haynes is a 3rd rounder in 24. That's 3rd rounder's decent capital, right? That's what they got for Geno, right?
You never know what you can find in the 3rd round.
Russell,
exactly,
etc. So you look at it in this way that if Abe Lucas is healthy, I don't say really good. I feel good enough about that line that they're going to be able to do what they want to do on the ground. That when they do pass the ball, which a lot of it will be running Darnold out to, maybe mask some of those issues, like in a bootleg type thing. When you want to do your play action plays, when, it's been a much contested thing, how much Jalen Milroe sees the field, whether it's just a couple gadget type packages, which the team kind of lamented that, like, if he's good enough to play, he's going to get on the field. But, don't expect it to just like happen. But it all starts with that line. And I think the line success, I think if there's one key component, one hinging thing, it is the health of Abe Lucas.
So the success of the line is, just like not
assuming that like Charles Cross and Gray are healthy because they have been, right?
Right.
It's just like making sure that Abe's getting another full healthy season for the first time.
Not just keeping Sam Darnold upright. I can't tell you how many times we would look at the box score after a Seahawks game last year. We saw that Zach Charbonnet ran the ball 9 times and Kenneth Walker ran the ball 14 times or 13 times. Or Kenneth Walker wasn't even available.
Well, that's the other thing
because it seems like they just gave up on running the ball.
Right.
Made it very predictable play calling wise that you'll drop back and Geno Smith.
My microphone, sorry.
And then we'll drop back and Geno Smith will try to yam the ball down the field and he'll throw a pick. Unfortunate pick. So I think that to your point, Abe Lucas is a huge part of the line. But the thing is he has to stay healthy throughout the whole year.
And that's why it's my key.
Right.
The Seahawks will make the playoffs if Abe Lucas plays in all 17 regular season games.
Right.
We'll give him 1 or 2 misses just because of the wear and tear on the line.
Ideally, he misses games at the end of the season when the Seahawks really don't need him.
Well, there you go.
And
I just feel so much different. And you mentioned it, Najee. It is at other positions. It's about depth, right? When K9 was out, okay, Charbonnet was able to carry the load. Now behind him there was an issue, but I think they've shored that up with drafting Damian Martinez to go with Kenny McIntosh, who's already established back there, and they're different backs too, right?
Right. Yeah. If you've seen football in the Pacific Northwest, not really last year, but the year before, a couple years before, Damian Martinez. You know him from Oregon State. He is a down the hill, big adult human being on that at the running back position, and that's definitely some needed depth to get. Because K9, I like K9. K9 is one of my favorite football players. But that being said, can he stay on the field?
Right, and that's the thing. Now, at least in that regard, while the Seahawks are a much better team when K9 is healthy,
right.
If he's not, you feel a little bit better about the depth, not just Charbonnet, but the other 2 guys we mentioned, McIntosh and Martinez.
Right.
With the line, if Abe goes down, you're talking about, all due respect, the one signing, journeyman lineman from the Ravens.
Right.
Then you're talking about whoever doesn't win the job between Jalen Sundell and Olu at the center spot. You're talking about whoever doesn't win the job between Bradford and Christian Haynes at right guard. You're getting into territory that it's like, okay, who's going to go where? And it becomes patchwork. And I think that's where everybody has a good plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's kind of where that saying comes from, right?
Hey, honestly, if the Seahawks can be in a position where they can punch teams in the mouth via the offensive line,
I think
by
they're
attacking
gonna
and
run the
going
ball.
down the field,
Right.
yeah, exactly. As opposed to just like dropping back. If the offensive linemen want to run the ball, run the ball, run
Right.
the dang ball. Have you seen those hats that say "run the ball"?
Run the damn ball.
Yeah, I love those hats.
I think McDonald has one.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
One thing that we're not talking about. A lot of our talk, if you listen to this podcast, in the past like month or so, or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And we're talking about most of the Seahawks offense because we're just so enamored and in love with the Seahawks defense. We don't really have to. I shouldn't say we shouldn't have to worry about.
No, but I think it's like
that's definitely a strong suit of the team.
Yeah, you look at the defense. It is the strong suit of this team. It has a chance to be elite in the NFL. I think, and I would argue it already was at the end of last season
For sure.
And you saw the effect. I mean, Leonard Williams said it, like once Ernest Jones came in, like everything fell into place.
Right.
There were so many parallels to that to when Mike McDonald was in Baltimore and got Roquan, right? Like it was just like as soon as it happened, things fell into place. Now you get a full season of that. Shaq Griffin coming aboard as depth at the corner.
That's
spot.
great. Yeah, just heard that today.
And that's another thing. Like, you want to talk about cornerback depth, right? Because technically your starters off the bat at corner are Spoon and Reek Woolen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that about 50% of the time, Mike wanted to put Spoon in the safety spot, that nickel spot, because he's a heck of a blitz. He just can do so many things.
Right.
And in that instance, Josh Jobe really did prove himself at that other corner spot. But again, you're talking about depth. What happens if this guy goes down? I feel exponentially better about the situation. Not that we want any of those guys to be remotely even injured, but should that happen, you feel exponentially better about it. Having a veteran like Griffin in there, already knows Seattle, that sort of thing, to at least make it so if there is an unfortunate injury, it's not like, well, this is done. It's over.
So talking about the playoffs, the Seahawks won 10 games last year.
Yeah.
Missed the playoffs.
Right. That's not going to happen often.
Okay, yeah, that's my question. So what's the threshold then? Because, I mean, we talked about, and I said that they could make the playoffs if the Niners are just hot trash again this year, which I think everyone in Seattle would love to see again.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's like, is 11 the threshold? Is 12?
10 to 11 should get the job done. I think that's about where they'll be.
Obviously more than 7.5.
Yeah,
if they win 7.5 games, you can kiss the playoffs goodbye.
No, yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it, it's
8. They can't win.
No, but you know what? You'd still win your bet in Vegas if they won 8.
Yeah,
that's what I'm telling people.
That's like unfortunate, though. You don't want that.
8 would be so disappointing.
Right.
Yet you look at it and like, why can't they win 8 games? Week 1 with the Niners, tough, but you don't know. Steelers on the road, tough. Saints, you should be okay.
3-0.
Cardinals, you should be okay.
Like I said, we could start with a 4-0.
Anywhere, it could go. In my book, I'm like, it could be 2-2 to 4. I'm going to say 3-1 just in case.
I mean, do you think the only loss I can see that may be coming to is that, and there's that Pittsburgh game because you just don't know what the whole situation.
Buccaneers will be tough. They're a good team.
Tough. That may be the first loss.
Jaguars, you should be okay.
Yeah.
Texans, they're tough.
Let's just count
Commanders are tough.
Let's just count those two. Texans, Commanders as a loss.
Sure.
Conservatively.
Cardinals, that one's here in November.
Win.
Rams, they're tough. Titans, you should be okay. Cam Ward probably coming into his own by November, but you should be okay.
Yeah.
Vikings are tough, but you don't know how Jay McCarthy's going to be.
Yeah.
Falcons could go either way. Mike Penix, Colts, you should be okay.
I like the
Rams are tough. And I'm generalizing. By the time you get to December, like who would have thought the Vikings were going to be like 14-2 or whatever it was?
Well, we could be 8 wins at just by December.
But the point is, like you were saying, they should be all right.
Yeah.
Assuming that those come to fruition, like 8 wins seems attainable, especially if Abe Lucas is healthy.
Hey, and especially
I didn't mean to yell in like anybody's car speakers.
That was very commanding.
But that's my point. Yeah. Like, what can you really in the summer point to as far as, like, okay, I think they'll be okay in that regard? It'd be easy to say, well, they're going to be a playoff team if Sam Darnold throws for 5,000 yards. Well, no crap. Like, right?
I don't think
but
Sam
it's not going to, I
don't
know.
I don't think Sam, this offense is not built for Sam Darnold to throw for 5,000 yards this year.
You can look at, okay, what's the setup of this team and what within the realm of possibility, of what this team's trying to do can happen. Like you said it. The Niners have another down year. That would, in theory, open up things for the Seahawks, to your point.
Right.
My point being, if the line has 3 anchors instead of 2.
Right. That's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And then then you're talking about moving forward in years to come too. Like, you can really build that line through the draft. You can do it cheaply in the draft. They extended Charles Cross's rookie deal.
As much as I would love to see John Schneider draft another offensive lineman next year, it was an outlier that he did it this year.
Yeah, I think it might be similar to this past year. It might be lineman or receiver that everybody's kind of looking at again. But again, that's without seeing any games played.
I think what we'll end up seeing maybe this year is, the whole offense is supposed to look different. It's supposed to be run the ball. But I think what we may see is, Cooper Kupp is going to have a good year. Am I suggesting you draft him very high in your fantasy league? Probably not.
No.
I will.
Well, because there's going to be it's the same idea that allowed JSN to have the fantasy numbers he did last season because everybody was paying attention to DK.
Yeah.
Now JSN's getting all that attention, and I wouldn't even say waiver wire watch Marquez Valdez-Scantling in that respect, or we'll get the tight ends.
That's true.
You don't want to take a flyer on Elijah Arroyo just yet, but him and AJ Barner are going to be, especially in this kind of play action bootleg type of offense. Those are the guys that are going to be getting a lot of looks. That's why they drafted Arroyo in the second round. That's some big capital.
That's a big capital.
That's the DK trade.
He could start. And also I love that I had to backpedal on gatekeeping. Drafting Cooper Kupp in the first round.
No, but that's the idea. So I this team is set up to have a nice year. While it's impossible to know how Clint Kubiak's scheme, how Sam Darnold fits into said scheme, how this offense turns what looks good on paper to results on the field.
Right.
Impossible to predict when we haven't even seen these guys in full pads yet. However, what you can look at in this regard is saying, okay, we like what's here. And if this and this and this works out, it's probably not even that many things. I think they'll be all right.
The bones are good.
The bones are good. Ideally, the bones would be super good if Abe Lucas can play maybe more than 14 games. Yeah, I think that's a good. I think that's a good number. Yeah, and it looks like he will, and he looks great. He started a weightlifting Instagram page.
Really?
What's he pushing?
He's a big guy.
I don't remember the handle, but I'm sure somebody will comment or you'll search it right now.
I'll look.
But what's interesting about it is he looks really cut up. He looks lean, and he's like, guys, I just want to make sure you still know I want you to make sure I'm still 325 pounds.
Right.
Even though he looks like he's like, if I had to guess, a big boy is about 6'4", 6'5". I would probably put him at 280 looking at him because he looks that good, but he's 325. So he is in the best shape of his pro career.
It's like I've forgotten how to use Instagram on this podcast.
He doesn't have Twitter.
Oh.
I don't know. I can probably find it for you, but we'll look at that after.
That's okay. We'll look at it. Oh, no. I saw a video of, here we go. There's a video of Abe Lucas deadlifting what looks like easily over 400 pounds.
I wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. No, he's good.
So there you go.
So
there's reason to believe that he will be healthy this year, and that is my key. The Seahawks will make the playoffs if Abe Lucas is healthy. You think they'll make the playoffs if the Niners continue to slide as we saw last year, allowing the Seahawks to be in better position, not just in the division, but maybe pick up a couple more wins overall.
As any Seahawks fan will tell you, you can never count out Kyle Shanahan.
No.
As much as you would love to, you can't. But I am still confident in the Seahawks winning over 10 games with or without the Niners being, as they historically are. But I think it's very easy to say that, if the Niners are just winning 4 games, then they'll make the playoffs. But also, I do think the Seahawks will make the playoffs regardless.
I do.
Yeah.
I do as well.
Yeah.
You can let us know what you think, why the Seahawks will make the playoffs. What is that key? Let us know in the comments
section.
If there's
any Cardinals fans that want to come for us.
Wow, we're still mad about it. But we kind of are.
I'm kidding. You can come.
No, but remember that they were all mad. They're like, this isn't going to happen in the Seahawks one.
Exactly.
Saying, but not saying.
We loved.
I don't think the Seahawks have lost to the Cardinals since 2021.
That does sound
No, I don't think so. I know so.
Yeah. We love every team, every fan of teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
Just love the Seahawks a little bit more.
Yeah. So there you go. We're going to continue to do this. Like I said, training camp starts in a month. We'll do one at training camp when it's going. But certainly we're going to have things to talk about between now and then. Any other signings and more hypotheticals like this. Again, let us know in the comments. And first of all, thanks for checking out the KOMO Sports End Zone. Thank you, producer Taylor. Thank you, Najee. I'm Niko. We'll see you next time.
Bye.